There are reports that free agent Lamar Odom is in a Los Angeles hotel where friends are trying to get him help for an unspecified drug problem. The information comes after Odom's agent refuted a report Sunday that his client had been missing for 72 hours after dispute with his wife, Khloe Kardashian. Odom's agent told our Mark Stein, quote, "Lamar is not missing. His wife knows exactly where he is," adding that playing in the NBA is still very much a part of Lamar's plans. Very, very sad story to report on. Stephen A., what's your reaction to this?
I'm very saddened by the report, y'all. Lamar Odom is one of the nicest guys I've ever covered in professional sports. I've known Lamar Odom, went to Christ King High School in New York City, went to Rhode Island before going to pro. And I've known the man for more than 15 years. I've never, ever, ever in my life heard him say a negative word about another human being. And I can't say that about too many people on this planet. I've never heard him say a negative word about anybody. So, you know, when Khloe Kardashian, his wife, comes out and she tweets about how difficult it is to hear these reports on her husband, some of the misinformation she believes has been put out there, I can definitely be a bit empathetic to, you know, her position because, you know, on his worst day, he doesn't deserve this. What I would tell you is that it is true that he is in a downtown LA hotel. And it is true that there are friends that are trying to talk to him about getting help. For what? I'm not at liberty to say because I don't know that directly, and I think it was irresponsible to get into all of that. But it's been something that has lingered for some time. The Los Angeles Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers were both interested in Lamar Odom coming back to the Lakers. A red flag was raised because anybody that knows Lamar Odom knows that there are two things that he loves. Number one is being in Los Angeles. And number two, despite his last season with the Los Angeles Clippers, this man was in love with wearing purple and gold and being a Los Angeles Laker. I remember getting into a debate with one of our colleagues, one of the anchors on SportsCenter, Skip, when he was like, he's a grown man, you know, what are you talking about? He's depressed. Because when Lamar Odom got traded, I remember him coming on my radio show on ESPN LA at the time, 710 ESPN LA. He was crying on the air because he was so depressed. Because he knew he was being let go by the Los Angeles Lakers. And what I tried to explain to people at the time is that you can't make this stuff up. You can't predict. But there are certain guys that are just built that way. They are so incredibly sensitive and they have such an affinity and an attachment to a particular situation, whether it be an organization, a city, a fan base, whatever the case may be, that it resonates with them so profoundly that they nosedive when that leaves you. Lamar Odom loved seeing Jack at courtside. He loved seeing Denzel right across the bench at Laker games. He loved this stuff. He loved all the things that came with Laker lore. And no matter what issues he may have had in his life, it elevated to another level the second he was let go by the Los Angeles Lakers. Yep. And it has never recovered. Went to Dallas. I told everybody, they were like, how do you go from sixth man of the year to averaging 6 points a game? I said, because he don't want to be there. Yep. He's miserable. He doesn't want to be there. Doesn't want to be there. I remember I told Rick Carlisle at the time, who I've known for many years, Coach, it's a mistake. The man don't want to be there. It's going to be a problem because he does not want to be in Dallas. He want to visit Dallas in a Lakers uniform, but he doesn't want to be there. Then he ends up going with the Clippers. The only reason why he went to the Clippers, Skip, is because if you remember, once you're let go, it has to be a full year before you're allowed to come back to the team that traded you away. And it was too soon for him to return to the Lakers. He would have had to wait until like December or January, and he didn't trust that the Lakers' brain trust would bring him back at that particular time. So the second option was to be in L.A. with the Clippers, because he knew that was an option with Vinny Del Negro and the Los Angeles Clippers, and that was something that he was willing to stomach, but it wasn't what he really wanted. Loves the players, loved his teammates, loves the city of Los Angeles, But I'm not saying that that's the cause for all of this, because obviously there's much more to this than that.
Yep.
But clearly that played a role in the nosedive that has taken place. Regardless, in the end, what it comes down to is that, you know, reporter or no reporter, I love the guy. He's a special person. Kobe weeks ago was trying to call him to come back to the Lakers. I'm not sure what Kobe knew or whatever, because I haven't spoken to Kobe about that. But, you know, Kobe wanted him to. Kobe was one of those people making the calls. Then he gave up because they couldn't believe that they couldn't find him. Yeah. Other people couldn't find him. I mean, you had teammates from both the Clippers and the Lakers calling, looking for this guy, and couldn't find him, which is when the red flag really raised up. Yep. This is not the first time he's had issues. I'm happy that his friends and loved ones seem to be in his face trying to get him some help. But it is definitely a sad situation that has the potential to get significantly worse if he does not get the help he needs.
Yep.
So I'm just going to pray for him. And again, I don't think further elaboration is necessary. Number one, we don't know all the details.
Yep.
Number two, it would be irresponsible to get in all the details. And number three, there has to be some degree of humanity and compassion in all of this.
Yep.
He has issues. He has problems right now, and they need to be resolved. And that's about all I'm going to say on it.
Great but sad insight. You gave us the potential end of this story. Let me take you back to the beginning with a quick story.
Sure.
1999, I'm the columnist for the Chicago Tribune. The Bulls, post Michael Jordan, as you recall, had the #1 overall pick in that draft. And I wrote a column for draft day saying the Bulls should take Lamar Odom #1 overall. I was surprised they did not that night. They took Elton Brand. Decent player, but not worthy of, as we've seen, of the #1 overall pick. And then Stevie Francis goes and Baron Davis goes, and Lamar Odom didn't go until 4th to the Clippers. Draft's over, I finish on deadline, and I see the new coach, Tim Floyd, who waves me over, and he says, hey, I want to tell you, what you wrote for this morning, dead on. I was with you. I wish we had taken Lamar Odom, but I want you to know he wouldn't even come for a visit here until last night, that there were several scheduled that he didn't make. And yet, when he got there, said Tim Floyd the night before, he blew away the veteran assistant coaches who had been with Phil Jackson there with his basketball IQ, with his command of NBA history, and then ran through a few drills for them and blew them away on the court with individual drills. And yet, he then sat down with the team psychiatrist and readily volunteered that he smokes marijuana before every game. Before every game he smokes. And Jerry Krause, whom, as you recall, Michael Jordan despised, the longtime GM of the Bulls, called together his staff the night before late and said, hey, I'm sorry, there is no way I'm going to risk the #1 overall pick, as much as I love his ability and his nature and his mind, on a kid who readily tells us, I smoke before every game. And this time, Jerry Krause was right. Lamar has had nothing but issues going forward. What's that now, 14 years ago? 14 years. And you say it's time to address the problem. The truth was it was probably time to address it early. I thought Lamar would be a superstar in the league, and he was always a very good player, but never a superstar, right? He didn't make an all-star team. I thought he'd make a bunch of all-star teams, and I think he fought against himself in his nature. His father was a heroin addict. He came from a rough background. I just wish for his sake these problems could have been addressed a long time ago. Now they have come to a head very publicly.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the family because, and I don't know who, I don't know what or whatever, but I do know this. Again, he was born and raised in the streets of New York City.
Yes, he was.
That's where I'm from, and I know a lot of his history. The one thing that I will say is that it weighed on him heavily because he had a responsibility, he felt, to a lot of people. And that was one of the reasons why he was unapologetic about what you pointed out, because his whole thing is that I got to keep my sanity somehow.
Yep.
I remember watching them in the finals, and I talked about this back in 2010. They played Boston, and Lamar Odom, they were down after Game 5. They had lost to Boston. They were down 3-2 in the series going back to L.A. And everybody is tight. There's a degree of urgency. You recognize what's at stake. You're 48 minutes away from losing an NBA World Championship.
Yep.
And Lamar Odom says, we going back to the crib. Relax. Don't worry about it. We cool. We going back to the crib. No need to worry. It's exactly what he said to me. And I was like, do you not understand the level of urgency that is attached to this? This is the finals, man. You can't be taking that lightly because, you know, Kobe and, you know, others, like Kobe called them fire and ice. Kobe, you know, straight fire. Lamar's ice. Cool. Nothing's too big of a deal. Everything's gonna be fine. That was his mentality. But in the aftermath of that finals victory, when they came back and won Game 6 and Game 7, I realized, and it became crystallized for me, why that was why Lamar Odom approached it that way. Kobe's thinking about nothing but winning the championship.
Yep.
Lamar is thinking, I'm in LA. I'm playing for the Lakers. No matter what happens, this ain't the end of the world. I'm living pretty good. This is the life. If this could be this way forever, I'm fine.
Yep.
Because of where he came from to where he was. And when the Lakers let him go, and you had to deal with life beyond basketball, because remember, the whole LA experience, the Lakers are not just, it's not just about basketball. It's the experience. It's Laker Nation. Yeah. It's Lala. It's Tinseltown. It's Hollywood. It's all the things that come along with it. When you go other places compared to LA, to those who want to be in LA, okay, then all there is basketball. It's not the life.
Yep.
And for Lamar Odom, clearly, it was a problem. And
think
so
he plays again?
You know what, Skip? I don't want to rule it out. It's looking bleak because the two places, listen, you've sent the message to everybody that there's only two places you're willing to be at, and there's really one place you want to be.
Yeah. You
see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's LA. Clippers second. Obviously, the Lakers are distant and far more preferred first.
Stephen,
if you're not there, how can somebody else trust you to bring you on board when you've shown that you don't really want to be anywhere else?
We saw him in LA. We, being fans, would see him in LA a lot. You talk about what a great guy he is, and that's true to his personality off the court. I saw him once wearing a Laker jacket when he was playing with the Lakers, walking down the streets of LA. True to how he feels about the organization. Instead of asking about necessarily whether or not he will play, you say he has a very cool personality. Will he rebound?
I hope so. I pray that he will, because, again, the man has never had a negative word to say about anybody. I'm trying to tell y'all, I have never encountered that. I've known him for over 15 years. Lamar Odom has never said a negative word about another human being that I've ever heard. I'm not talking about just directly from him to people who know him, to people that befriend him, to people he talks to. They will tell you. He does, I mean, he's not a negative dude, and he just tries to find the silver lining, or he's really got that ultimate live and let live personality. And you just hope that somebody like him, who doesn't wish harm upon anybody, won't find it for himself. But when you're in this kind of situation, whatever the situation is, I don't know how you get around that. I really, really don't. So all I could do, I mean, he has my prayers. I'm wishing him luck. I'll tell you that much.
More First Take after the break, ladies and gentlemen.